Welcome everyone to a new tutorial. This is number 4 in our series on the Hawaiian Islands, and today we'll be doing pink for the island of Maui. One of the things I love the most about going to the islands is the wonderful selection of fruits and just amazing desserts and things to eat there. And I thought for Maui that we would feature shave ice. There are shave ice stations all over the island, and it's the most wonderful Hawaiian treat. Shave ice is different from snow cones in that the flavors aren't just colored sugar water. They're made from fruit juices, like from pickled mango or guava or passion fruit, papaya, lime, and then they can be topped with sweetened condensed milk for a snow cap, and a lot of them have macadamia nut ice cream in the middle, and they're absolutely wonderful. So I thought I would do a design based on shave ice. Once again, I'll be using the stones that I made from the Happy Dotting Comonay number 2 mold, and I'm also using her stencil, the flexible silicone stencil. For this today, I'm going to mark that center dot and then line it up with the stencil. And the stencil has a lot of little lines on it, so I'm just highlighting 8 of them, and we're going to do like a clock face on the front of this stone, just like that. And then we'll be mixing up some paints. I'll be listing these in the comments. Some white, some yellow, mango color, and orange, and then some lime and leaf green, sky blue, blue raspberry, and lavender, bubblegum pink, and then the raspberry pink. And that's going to be our color scheme for the shave ice mandala for Maui. I'll be using the dotting tools from Mark's Mandalas again, and these are numbered, and you can follow along if you have these tools, or just use whatever dotting tools you have on hand. Beginning in the center with a large leaf green dot, and then we'll be going around that in lime green. First I did a cross, and then I filled in between each of those for 8 dots, and then I had just enough space to fill in between those for 16 dots all around this center leaf green. Now I'm going to offset another row in a slightly larger tool, doing this in the yellow. So we're fading out from green to lime to yellow. And then offsetting another row in the mango color in a slightly larger tool. Just snugging those in there as close as I can without touching, trying to get them approximately the same size, and then offsetting a row of orange. And this will form the center of our design. Now we're going to start to work on the petals of the design using the raspberry pink color. I'm going to put one on each of the guidelines. I'm tapping the stone down there to flatten the dots a little bit, and then swirling them with a tool, because I'm going to be doing a lot of top dots on those pink dots. Now we're going to go around each of these in the sky blue with same sized small dots. It's a really wonderful contrast between the sky blue and that raspberry color. Do that on all 8 petals, and then we're going to do a trio of orange dots at the end of the petal, one on either side of the guideline and then one sitting right on the guideline. And then we'll be walking up bubblegum dots on every other petal. Walk those up just as small as you can get them, skipping a petal as you go. So you'll actually be doing it on 4 petals, and then we're going to be switching to the lavender color. So those 4 are done. I'm going to use the same tool but with the lavender and do the same thing and walk up dots around the remaining petals. You should have just enough space to get those in there. And there might be a little bit difference in space between your petals, and that's okay. Now we're going to this wonderful blue raspberry turquoise color and putting a dot in between each of the petals, right up where they start to connect. And then moving to a larger size tool and putting 2 dots below that, side by side. Getting that wonderful blue raspberry flavor in this color. There we go. And now putting a large orange dot at the end of that row. And you'll want to look across your mandala to make sure that this is lined up properly. Now I decided to turn over my mold and set my rock on top of it so I could dot the sides a little bit more easily. You could also put your stone on top of a small glass votive candle holder. That works very well as well. Now I'm putting a sky blue dot at the end of the orange dot right in the center, lining that up as before, looking across the stone so you can get that right in the center. And just giving it a turn. Some people like to use little small turntables that are used for cookie decorating, and those work great when you want to turn your stone and not touch it. So once that's done, you're going to get a little bit smaller tool and do 2 sky blue dots on either side of that. So now we've got 3. To finish that row, we're going to walk up white dots alongside the orange dot. And do that on all 8 petals. Instead of continuing here, I decided to let the stone dry overnight, and then I scrubbed off the guidelines with a wet Q-tip. And then I'm going to resin the stone before I add any top dots or swishes. You can skip this step if you want to and just fast forward on to the next section of the tutorial. But a lot of folks were having trouble getting the swishes on their rocks because the surface of their rock was too bumpy. So this is one way to deal with that. You can let your first layer dry and then mix up some resin and resin your stone and let that dry, and then you will have a smooth glossy surface to do the swishes on that will make it very easy for your tool to glide and get the look that you want. So this is one way to do it. Just apply the resin both sides of the stone. And then I added a little bit more to the top just using a brush. Made sure it was all even. And then I used a straw to blow out any bubbles and allowed that to dry for 2 days. When it was dry, it was very glossy and smooth, and then I knew I could apply the swishes and top dots without having any trouble with a bumpy surface. So let's continue now on with the design. I'm going to put a blue raspberry dot right in the center of the stone on top of that leaf green. And then I'm adding mango top dots on the orange row. We'll just brighten them up a little bit. And then yellow top dots on the smaller mango row. And then adding a bubblegum pink on the inside edge of the raspberry dots. and then yellow top dots to the center of the orange outer ring, and then sky blue top dots to those blue raspberry larger dots next to the orange. Now to do the swishes, I'm going to drag the dots using a ballpoint tool. You can use a polymer clay sculpting tool with a ballpoint, or you can also purchase ballpoint tools from Ginger at Traveling Kindness Rocks. She has a nice set of them. And I'm just going to drag that toward the center. I just found out that the ballpoint worked a little better for me than the flat edge tool. So I'm going to just switch to the ballpoint here and drag some bubblegum pink dots next to the larger yellow swish. Put those right at the side with a little bit of a curve. And then add some of this pink raspberry color. The nice thing too about doing this on a stone that's already had resin on and is dry is that you can wipe these off and you can try again. It's very easy. It's like a dry erase board almost. So you can't really make a mistake that you're unhappy with. You can just wipe it off and try it again. And as I said, the swishes tend to glide beautifully on this resin, so you can really get a nice curvy movement to this with a fine point. Now I'm adding some white top dots to that outer edge and some yellow top dots to the inside edge of the pink top dots. It's becoming quite a colorful dot there. It's got 3 layers on it, and we're going to be adding to it still. Now I'm putting yellow top dots on this orange trio and then skipping a petal, doing another one, skipping a petal, doing another one. So we'll be doing it on 4 of the petals, and then switching to the lavender again and finishing off those petals. Now I'm adding some little tiny white top dots to the larger blue raspberry dots just to make them glow. Little touches like these can really bring your design to life. And then finally adding white top dots on the very inside edge of that pink petal. So we actually have 4 different colors on those pink petals. And that will finish our design. There it is, all done. It's beautiful and bright, and oh, it makes me want to go get some wonderful shave ice, but I'd have to fly to Maui to do that. I'm going to let this dry completely and then resin it again. And then let that dry and it will be finished. And this will be good to go outside if somebody wanted a little splash of color out on their patio. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this series on the Hawaiian Islands. Stay tuned for another. Aloha!